Am I the asshole for exposing my cousin's boyfriend as a fake Navy SEAL? I served in SWCC, Special Warfare Combatant Craft Crewman. We operate small patrol boats, and we work with SEALs, usually the people getting the SEALs in and out of places. Our training is quite similar to theirs, and when I heard that my cousin was getting married to a SEAL and when I heard about him, I knew he was a phony. The stories that were relayed back to me, and the shit I've seen from his post was just bullshit. I also heard that my nephew did more pull-ups than him, 5, so I know that's horseshit. There's no Navy SEAL who can only do 5 pull-ups. Bare minimum is like 10 or 15 to even get into basic training. I never got to meet this guy, and I think he was actually avoiding me because whenever I showed up he always left. I told everyone in the family my concerns. Most just ignored me saying I misinterpreted what happened. I'm not a SEAL so I wouldn't know. These ignoramuses were just so stubborn. Well, I knew the only way to expose this fucker is to get outside help, so I contacted Don Shipley, who is a former Navy SEAL, and he has a bunch of social media accounts and websites where he posts content of him exposing hundreds if not thousands of fake Navy SEALs either by approaching them or calling them and blasting them online. Anyone who suspects someone of being a fake SEAL can submit their info to Don Shipley. He will contact you back with proof of him being or not being a SEAL, as he is a record to a database of every Navy SEAL. Shipley not only sends proof of him not being a SEAL, he also calls my cousin and he asks my cousin about his service. He calls him out on everything about how none of his service making sense. The main one being he said he was in SEAL Class 111, which would have been like 40 years ago or something. I then sent this to everyone who was attending the wedding in a mass email chain. I was in one that had like 400 email addresses for the upcoming wedding attendees, as well as everyone on his Facebook and IG friends list. I have gotten so much hate from him and his family for this, and my cousin is devastated knowing this man is a fraud and a liar, so is everyone else who grew to like him. Everyone seems to hate me. I don't see why I did them all a favor.
You should have told your cousin once you had the proof and let it work itself out. Exposing him to 400 people and hunting out all his social media contacts to expose him is extremely petty. Don't get me wrong, I don't think you were wrong for getting the info and exposing him, but I don't think you were the person that should have publicly humiliated him, and, indirectly, your cousin, since they were going to marry.
Your cousin's boyfriend should not be lying about military service. But the way you did this, blasting it across a wedding listserv, was dramatic and vindictive. The way to do it was to approach your cousin privately, give her the information, and then let her decide what to do with it.
Not the asshole. If he didn't want to be exposed for stolen valor, he shouldn't have stolen valor.
I don't like the military, but even I can say that stolen valor is not okay in any form. It's great that you called him out for it. But the tone in this post and the fact that you made this a public affair rather than keeping it private makes you an as well. Spamming 400 people with emails and effectively doxing someone is also a terrible thing to do.
Not the asshole. I don't know why people think it's a good idea to fake military service or lie about it.
Borderline NTA. Fake vets deserve it. Massive a hole for that. You should have contacted your cousin privately about it, but then again, those people bring it on themselves. Frauds get exposed. Hopefully your cousin finds someone real. Could not even respect his partner enough to tell the truth. Shame. Better she found out now when she can still ditch hassle-free.
Mass email is an asshole move and makes you look petty. Using a wedding as a springboard for maximum humiliation. Asshole move, and congratulations on ruining the bride's day, who presumably had nothing to do with any of this. But, acceptable losses, am I right? There are ways of handling this, and you chose the wrong way. You are the asshole. It's not even close.
I can understand your frustrations, and I think it would have been fine to tell your cousin directly and show her proof, so she has all the facts before marrying. However, you are the asshole for blowing up 400 people's emails with this. These types of guys dig their own graves eventually anyway, and you just took yourself down with him.
Accept your cousin. He sucks for the whole stolen valor thing. You suck for exposing it to 400 plus people without telling your cousin first, so she has to deal with both the shock of this enormous lie and what to do and utter embarrassment. Your self-righteous anger isn't enough rationalization to make doing that to her. Period.
You are the asshole, but only because of the mass email. That was completely out of line. It was up to your cousin to make that decision on who she would tell and what she would say when she ended the relationship. I see nothing wrong with you exposing the guy, because if he's lying about this, what the hell else is he lying about? And your cousin was about to marry a stranger who could very well be dangerous.
Not the asshole at all, but does anyone know if there is an army branch version of this Don person? I know for a fact my uncle never served in the army. He got discharged in basic for failing to adapt to military lifestyle, but he's always posting veteran stuff and acting like he served in a war or something. It's really gross.
You are the asshole not for exposing the guy, just the public, spectacular way you decided to go about it.
You are the asshole. Assuming this post is real, which I doubt, this is something you bring up with the bride in private. It's not your place or duty to decide who she gets to marry, yet you went and embarrassed her before the wedding.
I get being mad and trying to protect your cousin, but sending an email to 400 plus people. That's an asshole move, simply unnecessary and petty.
Others have already said all the reasons he is, but this bit from you. Yeah, for sure I could have proven it in another way, but it sure as hell wouldn't be as funny or spectacular as having Don Shipley call him out. Absolutely cements you as a glory-seeking asshole in your own right. You put your amusement over your cousin's well-being.
You are the asshole for sending the proof to everyone. You should have just sent it to your cousin and left it there. Him for obvious reasons, you for doing it in such a public way when you should have passed on the info to your cousin. Also, your boner for the military is kinda pathetic.
NTA, you helped your family dodge a bullet.
Everyone sucks here. Stolen valor is a serious thing and should be exposed, but the way you did it, man? Email to 400 people? WTF. You're an asshole for that. Very unpopular, but you are the asshole. I for one don't care an ounce about stolen valor, and even if others do, you went about it in such a shitty way. Okay, so you've got evidence he lied. Just contact your cousin privately? Humiliating him on a huge email thread was so unnecessary. Also, TBH, you sound like a bit of an asshole in general, and you got a load of glee from exposing him.
Notifying the bride and her immediate family might have been warranted, but the rest was just humiliating for everyone.
Not the asshole. As you mentioned, you tried to talk to family and friends about his lies and no one would listen. So I think you were correct in blowing his shit up. How dare he take credit for the blood of others? I hope he never lives it down. Good for you, Op. And thank you for your service.
Come on, folks, this isn't obvious you are the asshole. I can practically see the virtue signaling dripping out of this one. You didn't do this to uphold the integrity of the Navy SEALs, you did it to humiliate the dude in front of hundreds of people and act like you're the hero. There were so many better ways you could have handled this. Maybe talk in private with the dude and told him to knock it off and walk back his claims. Or talk to your cousin and let her decide what she wants to do. If he still insisted on lying, then maybe you present him with an ultimatum. But you press the nuke button before discussing it with anybody else. Now, with no possible way for him or her to save face, you've basically cancelled the wedding yourself. This wasn't your decision to make, so you are hugely the asshole for this.
He is a fraud and a liar, but that was not the right way to go about exposing him.
Not the asshole. You saved your cousing from a charlatan.
You are the asshole for sending that email to 400 people. That was humiliating to your cousin and she didn't deserve that.
Everyone sucks here. I don't get why you felt the need to publicly humiliate your cousin. So she got fooled by a guy she loved. It can happen to the best of us.
Not the asshole for exposing him. He deserves to be called out. You are the asshole for sending this to everyone the bride knows and humiliating her before her wedding that is probably going to be cancelled.
Just because something is sweet justice, and the guy definitely deserves it, doesn't mean you have to stoop to his level. You just look really petty, and like a self-righteous fanatic. Your reputation was probably damaged just as much as his, TBH. No one wants to be friends with someone who is vicious and unapproachable.
You were right to expose him. Your cousin needed to know she was marrying a fake. But You should have just given her the info instead of embarrassing her in front of all her family and friends via email.
Don't get me wrong, he's way more the asshole for lying to your cousin and everyone else, faking honors he didn't earn. But you're slightly the asshole because it sounds like more than anything, you wanted everyone to know you were right. If this was just out of concern for your cousin, then pretty sure you would have just notified her and not all 400 wedding guests. Also, you didn't think how badly this could hurt your cousin to have her husband's lie exposed and having 400 people know her personal business like that.
Guy impersonating a seal, yeah, obviously an asshole. But as a SWCC yourself, you have plenty of credibility to call him out to the bride and anyone else in the family if you feel like you have to. You didn't need to bring in outside guy and put him on blast by email to hundreds of people. You don't even need the family to believe your claims. You're a veteran yourself, and you have more Navy experience than they do. If they choose not to believe you, you shouldn't feel like you have to convince them. At the end of the day, stolen valor is a shitty thing to do, but it really doesn't hurt anyone. If you truly felt the need to call this dude out, you could have talked to your cousin on your own, and if she didn't listen, that's her problem and her problem alone.
Did you have to tell everyone so publicly? How embarrassing for your cousin. It's bad enough this happened to her, but to have everyone know so you could prove a point is pretty horrible of you. Yes, you were right, but come on. Your coins in prob had their whole life mapped out with this person.
You are the arsehole, not for exposing him, but for publicly humiliating your cousin.
He's a dick for lying and the bigger arsehole, but the lengths you went to prove you were right and the way you exposed him has me seriously questioning your character. You publicly humiliated your cousin, which she didn't deserve, and humiliated yourself, which frankly I believe you did deserve. You weren't doing this to do them a favor. You were doing this to get your "I told you so" moment, otherwise you could have done this all privately. Yikes.
You are the asshole. What the hell did you gain from publicly embarrassing not only that guy, but your cousin as well? Yes, he sucks, but you chain emailed everyone. Your cousin now has to deal with all of her guests knowing her dirty laundry because you had to be dramatic and say "I told you so."
The guy's is definitely an asshat for trying to claim he was something he wasn't. But did you really need to send that to a 400-person guest list? That's just insane and extremely high drama. I would have sent to his future wife and parents only. Let them know who he is.
I would have said NTA if you had just reached out to your cousin to let her know what you found and then let her decide what to do about it. She probably would have preferred to let people know in a more private, less embarrassing way.
You sound like a tosser.
You're the asshole for blasting it out to everyone like you did. You should have just told your cousin and your immediate family and let them decide what to do.
Yes, he's a pile of garbage for his stolen valor, but putting him in a 400-person chain email is so fucking over the top.
You were right in calling him out, but you went way over the top.
You are the asshole. Not for exposing the guy, but the way you did it showed little care for your cousin. You humiliated her and that was unnecessary.
The dude for obvious reasons, but you are definitely an aw. Ask yourself why you went to all this trouble, because it certainly wasn't to help your cousin. You publicly humiliated her by needlessly emailing all of her guests. It's bad enough knowing her fiancé was lying to her throughout her relationship, but it's worse than she has to go through this publicly. You're an asshole and owe your cousin and a family a sincere apology. You are the asshole. You wanted a pat on the back and to humiliate not just him but everyone who believed him. To be very clear, he is an asshole and needed to be exposed for the massive disrespect his lies are to every individual who has served in any military branch, and you are not the asshole for doing so, just for the manner in which you did it. Some targeted revelations, starting with your cousin, would have easily and effectively spread the word and shut him up. There was no need to email the whole guest list, a definite asshole move, and you knew it when you did it.
You're an asshole only for how you did this to your cousin. It's not cool that everyone found out that her fiancé was a fraud at the exact same time, in the same way that she did. Of course she was going to support her partner if you gave no initial proof to him being a liart. She's not an asshole for not believing you when you first said it. She would have been if she didn't believe your proof, but Shush has not done anything wrong here. The way you ignored how it would impact her was not fair, but that you did it and exposed it, is fine.
You both sound like a lot. You are the asshole. You publicly humiliated your cousin. Well done. Slow clap.
Info. What did you expect to gain from this? Did you create this account solely for this post? Just curious.